Hello and welcome to Efficient Strategy Gaming. Today, I'd like to do a video on what I learned playing Expert AI 4.0 as Germany. And this is my third playthrough. My first playthrough, I just tried to do a speed run. It didn't work. Second playthrough, I tried medium tanks and it didn't work. And this is my third playthrough. It's 1942 and doing okay, but I have a feeling that it may not go that well. So I might do a video on this, but I wanted to share with you guys my takeaways from playing Expert AI 4.0. And I saw Tommy K just played it too, and he had the Himmler push happen, and that was a lot of fun. So go check out Tommy K's channel. Tommy, I love you. And yeah, let's get into kind of what I figured out after all these playthroughs with the Expert AI. It really kind of helps you train for MP, I feel like, in terms of the micro and things like that and what you have to do. But I'm just going to tell you the best way that I found to build Germany. And what it's going to be is a speed run into a sieve ramp into Barbarossa. So what you need to do is I sped run into, so we go Rhineland, Anschluss, reassert Eastern claims, Danziger War around Maginot, war with France, take out France. While we're taking out France, I go army innovations, and if you take out France quickly enough, then there's a chance that the US doesn't come into the war. And then you can choose improved national spirit, which gives you a ton of political power. And this allows you to fill up your military cabinet for an earlier Barbarossa. Also, you're going to then go treaty with USSR so that you can rush the medium tanks. And then I do kind of a normal build where we go from 4-year plan to extra research slot to Reichs Autobahn, then army innovations. And after you get army innovations, you can go mech. And what I would propose is to do a Barbarossa in late 38, say September, sometime around there. You should have at least 2 or 3 medium tank divisions. And what I would suggest is making this division template right here to start Barbarossa off. Keep your 3 light tank divisions that you get at the start of the game as Germany. And these divisions right here are going to do just fine. Then later, when you start getting into more Panzer IV territory, and you have a huge stockpile, and you're looking like you want to make more divisions, expand your divisions, then you can transition into this 40 width template. And as you can see, I've added logistics company and signal company. And we also have light armored recon company. And that's just using the armored cars that I produced from the beginning of the game that I use in my suppression template. And I basically just changed this template around to what I need, depending on the amount of compliance we have with our puppets. But basically, the medium tanks I found were good enough to not be pierced unless they're going up against a medium tank. And even initially, they were not pierced. So you do have to modify them and make armor upgrades. Other things that I found was that the AI is fairly crafty. One of my playthroughs, I went Fighter 2 first, then I ramped up medium tanks. And if you're a newer player and you put a spy in the Soviet Union, you start getting information or intel about what the Soviet Union is building. And so what I found was the AI was smart enough when I spammed out Fighter 2s and they saw that they were losing to take all their production off of air which I thought was fairly crafty. So they went no air USSR like you would in an MP game. And it kind of screwed me up because I had a lot of production on Fighter 2, but not as much production on medium tank. So what I did in this build, and it seemed to work fine, was I would look at the air production of the Soviet Union and just match what their air production is and scale it that way. And we're battling it out here. And as you can see, we're kind of even. I made the mistake of going tac bombers. I would go solo fighter, pretty much. But we're pretty even in terms of the air war. So that was one trick that I learned. Let's see. The other key was to take out the UK quickly so that the US did not come into the war. And I got the Allies to capitulate twice before the US came into the war. And they were both before March 27th, 1937. So if you can accomplish that, there's a chance that you don't get US intervention in the war. And that is awesome. So say I'm able to defeat the USSR, I can then do Man in the High Castle and come in with Japan and basically take out the United States, knock on wood, if I could ever get that far. Other takeaways. I definitely could have done the peace treaty with the Allies much better. I should have puppeted a bigger UK. So I should have given them like Northern Ireland. There's not much production there. Like all this production I built myself because I ran out of space pretty much. So probably Northern Ireland, Scotland area. And then of course you always puppet Malaya and German Raj. Indonesia somehow broke off on their own, so I was not able to puppet Indonesia, but you could still trade with them. But yeah, if you're able to puppet Indonesia, I think I just forgot to do that after I took out the Netherlands. So that's my bad. That was an early thing. So when you take out the Netherlands, make sure to puppet Indonesia, and then you basically don't need to build refineries. You start having problems with steel, and you can compensate for that. I haven't transitioned yet, but you can compensate for that by going down to export focused, and then you should have enough steel. So at this point, that's the next goal that I'm looking forward to. What you'll find is, so you can see here that I went down align Hungary, align Romania, and integrate war economies. What you don't want to do is align Romania, just skip that and just align Hungary. Because if you attack in 38 against the USSR, there's not going to be time enough to align Romania, and this will be a wasted focus. So you can come straight down here into integrate war economies, and then you'll get something like 6 mils, 8 mils from Hungary, and that'll be good enough. And as you can see, you don't have to do the rubber processing or anything like that. So that's kind of nice. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. And we'll see if I'm going to make another video on Barbarossa here and see if we can actually take out the USSR. That would be kind of cool. The other thing that's nice, not having Romania in as a puppet, is that I don't have to worry about like them being on my front here or anything like that. And I just can have the Barbarossa front all to myself. I don't know. That's just a personal preference, but that's what I like to do. And so, yeah, there's definitely a lot of improvements that I could do for these builds. One last thing, one last landmine that I stepped on I accidentally bypassed demand Sudetenland because you don't have to do that. I didn't do demand Sudetenland originally, and what that did was make it so that I couldn't get Jalmar Shacked, which really kind of ruined this build. But if I had Jalmar Shacked and I went to war in this particular playthrough in June 1941, the historical Barbarossa date, I would have been much better off if I had those civs earlier in that production a lot earlier. So yeah, currently I think the way to go is a medium tank rush, 1938 Barbarossa start, and just try to stay in the middle and try to take out as many divisions as possible. As you can see, the expert AI gets buffs as you start capitulating your opponents. So you get this, and actually, after I took out Kiev and Leningrad in one of my playthroughs, I noticed that there's a second buff that the AI gets as well. So fast capitulations are good, but in Barbarossa, it's very hard to do because expert AI punishes you for diving. So you just have to kind of take out little bites as you go along. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I had a lot of fun playing expert AI and thought that it was quite helpful in training for multiplayer. And it really is a lot more fun than vanilla because if you're a newer player, I would suggest playing vanilla, but expert AI is more for advanced players and is more challenging and is a lot more fun if you have a lot of hours in the game. So that's going to be it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. We've got all sorts of ways that you can support the channel. We have channel membership on YouTube. I stream on Twitch. I stream on YouTube. I have a Patreon. And yeah, guys, I'll see you on the next one.